Welcome back, my dear dragon aficionados. Today, we're diving into the scorching depths of House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 4. If you thought politics were hotter than dragonfire before, just wait until you see what's cooking now. This episode served up so much intrigue and excitement with a side of betrayal, sprinkled with a dash of sibling rivalry that's juicier than a Dornish orange. As always, we're here to dissect every flaming detail, from the jaw-dropping plot twists to the fiery character developments. So, grab your popcorn and brace yourselves. This one's about to get hotter than King's Landing during a royal wedding. Welcome to the Wolf Diaries. From the jump, the episode is titled The Red Dragon and the Gold, a clear indication that it has to do with Meleys and Rhaenys. I was totally clutching my pearls at this point. It kicks off with Daemon, who seems to be in another trance, as he walks into the throne room in King's Landing. This is a great callback to how he was introduced to the audience in Season 1. This time, however, he is the one walking in, and young Rhaenyra is on the throne. She does tell him that he made her into who she is today, but still a part of him hates her for his brother loving her more than he loved him. He proceeds to chop off her head. In my opinion, Daemon loves and will always do anything, including laying his life down for Rhaenyra, but there'll always be a part of him that despises her, for she'll always be a reminder of the crown and power he lost. Albeit it was all his fault, he lost the position of heir to the throne. The scene moves on with Sir Simon updating Daemon of the Greens marching towards the Rivellants. There's something so endearing about Sir Simon's character that I'm hoping the writers deviate from the books when it comes to his character. On the other hand, as much as they look to be working well with Daemon at the moment, Daemon is always a wild card, and he can turn on anyone at a moment's notice. Here's to hoping the writers do us a solid and keep the character as he is a while longer. Next, Daemon meets with Oscar Tully, the heir to Riverrun and the future Lord Paramount of the Rivellants. He comes in place of his grandfather since he's extremely ill. Daemon wastes no time in suggesting that he should take out his grandfather and speed up the inheritance process. I mean, only Daemon would suggest that, as if he's basically ordering brunch at a restaurant. Goodness. Since Oscar cannot be of service to him as long as his grandfather lives, Daemon demands they summon the Blackwoods because they have made their stance known. From there, we are transported to Driftmark, where Rhaenys is seen walking to the harbor. It was so heartwarming to see the amount of respect everyone shows to Rhaenys as she was walking towards the ships compared to what we saw with Alicent in the last episode. Anyways, she meets Alan, and she sort of confirms that Alan is Corlys's son. She suggests that he should be raised to the rank he deserves, but Corlys takes offense to this. They part ways with Rhaenys flying back to Dragonstone to support Baela and Jace, because Rhaenyra is in King's Landing trying, well and failed, to broker peace, even though the rest of them don't know yet. Back in King's Landing, it appears that Alicent is with child and has requested the Grand Maester to brew some moon tea, under the guise that it's for one of her maids. Well, the hypocrisy trope continues, and if anything, I hope the writers bring it all back to the point of Alicent reflecting and understanding just how much she has judged Rhaenyra most of their adulthood, yet know she is living through everything she had always despised. Over in Dragonstone, tensions are rising with Rhaenyra's absence. The other lords appear to be restless since the Greens are on the move, and there's still no word from Daemon with regard to his efforts in Harrenhal. Just as the rest of the council is berating Baela, Jace, and Rhaenys, Corlys walks in and sets each one of them straight. Meanwhile, the Greens appear to have sacked the town of Duskendale, ruled by Lord Gunthor Darklyn. Kristen offers the survivors mercy if they bend the knee. If not, it's over for them. He uses Lord Darklyn as an example. Lord Darklyn makes sure to serve Kristen some truths before he's put to the sword. This was one of the best points of the episode because, for once, someone told Kristen what they really thought of him with no fear, and I do hope he meets the same and he put Lord Darklyn through 100 times worse. Fingers crossed. Back in King's Landing, Aegon is finding out just how much insignificant he is, since Aemond and Kristen are making moves without him. While Aemond and Aegon are arguing, they start speaking in High Valyrian, while mostly Aemond since Aegon knows little to nothing. It was such a tense and great moment since the rest of the council became an audience, just like the rest of us. Elsewhere, Larys goes to check on Alicent due to her absence at the small council meeting. He quickly deduces that she had taken moon tea, and they exchange riddled jabs about indulgence in other dalliances. Side note, did you peep Alicent making a makeshift hot compress with hot stones since she was experiencing cramps? Clearly women have been resourceful from way back and no one can convince me otherwise. Elsewhere, in Harrenhal, Daemon is still having night terrors and this time he saw Aemond. However, in the dream he looked like Daemon, signifying how much Daemon does see himself in Aemond, and for one, I'm excited to see what happens the next time the two come face to face. When he comes to, he finds himself in the kitchen with Alice Rivers. We find out the reason Harrenhal has always been haunted was because their ancestors cut down a weirwood tree and built the castle. They used wood from the tree to build furniture used throughout the castle, hence the curse. She does give Daemon a drink to help with the terrors, but I have a feeling the worst is yet to come for Daemon's stay at the castle. Later the next day, he meets with Sir Willem Blackwood, who we actually met back in Season 1 when he vied for Rhaenyra's hand in marriage. He seemed well locked in with Daemon's plan to fight for Rhaenyra's claim to the throne. In the meantime, Aegon in King's Landing is feeling restless since he feels like his hand and brother are keeping him sidelined, and if there's one thing we've learned about Aegon, he craves acceptance, love, and validation that he deserves to be where he is. He tells off the rest of his council and walks away. Back in his chambers, he finds Alicent, who seems to be looking for Viserys's books. Since she spoke to Rhaenyra, she seems to be looking for validation on her own, and that she did the right thing by helping Aegon ascend the throne. This scene was so heartbreaking. Even though we don't harbor any fond feelings for Aegon, he seems to be looking for some kind of love and support from his mother, but Alicent is as cold and dismissive as always. In contrast, back in Dragonstone, when Jace gets a chance to speak to his mother, the moment she touches his cheek, he calms down and easily transforms from a man to his mother's son. It's interesting that one of the tropes the writers are really pushing this season is maternal relationships with the children, and it's being insisted on every episode. Anyway, that was a great comparison. Back in Dragonstone, Rhaenyra comes back to a small council that's immensely agitated by the lack of action. She offers to take Syrax to Rook's Rest since Kristen and his army are advancing to the castle. Everyone was clearly against it, and Rhaenys offers to go with a smile on her face. At this point, I had a bad feeling that maybe she might not make it back, since from the Green's small council meeting, you could tell Aemond and Kristen had something up their sleeves. I was a little sad that we didn't get a goodbye between Corlys and Rhaenys, and the last extensive conversation they had was at the harbor, and they did not leave it in good terms. Contemporaneously, Aegon also decides to go meet Kristen at Rook's Rest, and we get a cool shot of both dragon riders interacting with their dragons. This was another point I felt that the only one to love Aegon was actually his dragon, and as the episode progressed, we understand why the writers made the choice to give us this endearing moment with Aegon. The score by Ramin Djawadi throughout this scene was so glorious, and I couldn't look away. As Rhaenys heads to Rook's Rest, we see Kristen and his men advancing to attack the castle. Lord Staunton and his men try to keep the Green Army at bay, hoping for help to come, and right on cue, Meleys and Rhaenys are seen advancing from afar. They fire upon the Green Army, but are interrupted by Aegon. This was the moment we found out that Aemond had been waiting in the forest with Vhagar. The moment Aemond spots Aegon flying above, he commands Vhagar to wait a moment longer. At this point, I knew Aemond was going to exact his revenge on Aegon for the taunting he had put him through in the previous episode. In the sky, we see Sunfire and Meleys collide, and I even found it so believable that I forgot this was actually CGI. Sunfire tries to keep up, but Meleys is a seasoned dragon, and it wasn't until we saw Aemond and Vhagar appear from the horizon that we thought they had some hope. However, Aemond gave the nastiest order for Vhagar to fire, and it was right at Aegon and Sunfire. Meleys and Rhaenys do get away for a moment, but Sunfire and Aegon fall into the forest. It was at this moment that Kristen realized it was a bad idea to have kept Aegon in the dark, and he might not survive this battle. He tries to get to Aegon, but just then Meleys and Vhagar quickly tumble from the sky to land. Thankfully, Meleys is a bit smaller than Vhagar and more agile, and she's able to fly away for a moment. This is when we get a great shot of just how much it takes for Vhagar to launch herself into the sky. She steps on her own army, and we get to see as much as a great firepower a dragon can be in one's arsenal. One might end up being taken out by their own weapon. At this point, Meleys and Rhaenys could have gotten away, but we could see in Rhaenys' eyes that this was her last straw. She had done a lot of self-preservation in previous confrontations, and this might have been her only chance to do away with the enemy. She looked at Meleys, and it was like they understood what needed to be done. They fly back, but as they are looking for Vhagar, she sneaks from the bottom like she did to Luke and Eric's, and bites Meleys on the neck until she drains all life out of her. We see Rhaenys understand that this is their end, and she welcomes it as they fall to the ground. Back in the forest, we get the final shot when Aemond and Kristen arrive to find Aegon cradled by Sunfire as he's severely burnt and his dragon labors to even breathe. And the episode closes out with a shot of Kristen realizing the kind of havoc they have unleashed when the dragons are put in play. Wow, what an episode this was. I knew from jump that since Alan Taylor was at helm with directing the episode, it was going to be a great one, and boy, did it live up to our expectations. I love the point that was driven of just how important a dragon's bond to its rider is, and we witnessed both Meleys and Sunfire fight to the end trying to protect their riders and being apologetic for failing to do so. Therefore, as we wrap up this dragon-fueled roller coaster of an episode, one thing's for sure, House of the Dragon continues to breathe fire into our screens with each passing week. From the subtle nods to Targaryen history, to the shocking reveals that leave us clutching our goblets, Episode 4 has set the stage for even more epic showdowns to come. So, my fellow dragon enthusiasts, let's speculate, theorize, and obsess over every detail until next week's feast of fire and blood. Until then, keep your swords sharp and your dragons closer, because winter may be coming, but these dragons are just getting started. Thank you for joining us on this captivating journey. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and/or subscribe for more delightful content, and I'll see you on the next one.